The camera opens on a swirl of dust and the rasp of metal on stone. A rough hand lifts a sieve, and within it, just for a heartbeat, a faint sparkle catches the sun. That tiny flicker represents more than beauty. It's the opening act in a story worth $2 million. In a world where the diamond industry moves billions each year, most people picture massive, mechanized mines with conveyor belts and corporate machinery. But here, in an isolated corner far from any paved road, a small group of remote workers is rewriting the rules. Armed with little more than determination, grit, and simple sieves, they've pulled off an astonishing feat, harvesting a fortune in diamonds in less than a fortnight. This isn't just a lucky strike. It's a rare confluence of skill, location, and knowledge passed down through generations. While industrial operations focus on scale, these workers have perfected precision. Every flake of gravel they lift could conceal a gem whose value rivals a year's wage in the city. And their success has ripples far beyond the dirt under their boots, touching international trade networks, affecting market prices, and stirring debates about artisanal mining's place in the modern economy. The question isn't just how they do it. It's why such a low-tech approach can still outpace some of the world's most advanced mining systems. That's the story we're about to uncover. The morning in this remote diamond field begins not with the hum of traffic or the glow of streetlights, but with a slow, golden spread of sunlight across an untouched horizon. The air, still cool from the desert night, carries the scent of dry earth and faint traces of campfire smoke. As the first rays hit the ground, the plain seems to awaken, its ochre dust releasing a soft shimmer that hints at the treasures buried beneath. The camp itself is a patchwork of survival and purpose. A row of faded canvas tents flaps gently in the morning breeze, their guy ropes tied to whatever the land provides. Gnarled tree trunks, carved stakes, even piles of stone. Between the tents, narrow footpaths are stamped into the dirt by countless trips to and from the dig site. In the shade of a large acacia, blue plastic barrels store the most precious commodity after diamonds: water. Each drop is rationed, not just for drinking, but for the vital washing and sieving that will define the day's work. At the heart of the camp, a small diesel generator rattles unevenly, coughing out bursts of smoke before settling into its mechanical heartbeat. The generator powers a single bare bulb inside the supply tent and a battered shortwave radio that pulls in fragments of distant voices, weather reports, and static. The radio is more than background noise. It's the crew's only tether to the outside world. The dig site lies a few hundred meters away, reachable by a winding dirt track carved by foot and the occasional creaking wheelbarrow. The path dips and rises, its edges marked by scatterings of gravel too coarse for the sieves, but too stubborn to move. When the crew reaches the pit, the heat is already building, and the work begins without ceremony. The pit is shallow but sprawling, its sides slope to allow easy access to the gravel-rich layer where diamonds are known to hide. Men and women move with an unspoken rhythm. One scoops earth into a bucket, another lifts it to the sievers, and the sievers begin the hypnotic shaking that separates dust from stone. Every sieve's rattle is a metronome for the day, punctuated by the occasional splash of water as a pan is dipped and swirled in the nearby stream. This stream is no ordinary trickle. It is the lifeblood of the operation. Its water, clear yet carrying the faint scent of minerals, is perfect for washing away the stubborn cling of dirt that hides a diamond's natural sparkle. Here, workers crouch low, their eyes scanning every swirl of gravel for that elusive flash, a sharp glint unlike quartz or mica, something that catches light and refuses to let it go. In the background, the land stretches on, an endless, silent witness to the work. No paved roads, no hum of industry, just the vast emptiness of nature, and the knowledge that beneath its quiet surface lies wealth enough to change lives. The isolation is absolute, but so is the focus. Out here, in this remote pocket of the world, the line between struggle and fortune is just a handful of soil away. In the vast machinery of the global diamond trade, this remote site is a speck on the map. Yet its output, in the right conditions, can send ripples through markets half a world away. While most artisanal diamond diggers measure their success in grams or fractions of a carat per week, This location yields a staggering return: $2 million worth of rough stones in just 10 days. What makes it so extraordinary isn't only the volume, it's the quality. Diamonds pulled from this gravel bed consistently rank high on the for CS: clarity, cut potential, carat, and color. Many emerge with a natural brilliance that, once polished, can fetch prices normally reserved for stones from world-famous mines in Botswana or Canada. A single find here can rival the monthly yield of an industrial site with hundreds of workers and millions in equipment. The geology is unique. Beneath the ochre surface lies a narrow alluvial deposit, a relic of an ancient riverbed that once carried eroded fragments from deep kimberlite pipes upstream. Over thousands of years, floods and seasonal flows concentrated the densest minerals in specific bends and pockets. The diamonds settled here like seeds in fertile soil, waiting for someone to notice the quiet glow beneath the gravel. Unlike deeper kimberlite mining, which requires massive excavation and blasting, this field offers stones close to the surface, reachable with nothing more than shovels, buckets, and patience. On the world market, rough diamonds from industrial mines often travel through long supply chains before reaching an auction floor. Here, the proximity to high-value deposits means fewer middlemen and a faster path from soil to sale. In financial terms, that efficiency translates into bigger profit margins for those willing to endure the isolation and hard labor. It's a sharp contrast to the broader industry. Globally, diamond mining is dominated by corporate giants who produce in bulk, flooding the market with stones of mixed quality. This site, however, produces far less overall, but maintains an unusually high ratio of gem-quality stones. That imbalance, low volume, high quality, means its diamonds can command prices up to 30% higher than equivalent carat weights from other regions. And yet, the operation remains largely invisible to the average consumer. No glittering showrooms, no press releases, no celebrity endorsements, just a quiet stream in the middle of nowhere, a few worn sieves, and a team whose expertise in spotting a diamond's raw beauty rivals the best-trained gemologists in the world. If you'd like, I can now expand topic 4, pre-process preparations, with the same deep, cinematic detail. Long before the first sieve rattles over a bed of gravel, the diamond harvest here begins with weeks, sometimes months, of preparation. Out in this remote corner of the country, nothing can be left to chance. The terrain is unforgiving, the climate relentless, and the nearest supply point can be several days' journey over dirt tracks that flood in the rainy season and crack like pottery under the dry sun. The first step is securing the right to dig. This means navigating a bureaucratic maze of permits, land access agreements, and in some cases, informal understandings with local communities who've known these riverbeds for generations. Without their blessing, even the most determined crew risks conflict or being shut down entirely. For artisanal miners, this isn't just paperwork, it's diplomacy, built on trust and shared benefit. Once the location is confirmed, the logistics phase begins. Fuel, water, food, medical supplies, tools, and spare parts must all be stockpiled well before the first day of digging. The crew's lifeline is a convoy of battered trucks and 4x4s, each loaded beyond capacity with sacks of rice, barrels of diesel, crates of bottled water, coils of rope, and bundles of sieves wrapped in tarpaulin. A single forgotten item can mean days of halted work, and every trip back to civilization burns through precious time and fuel. The camp must be built from the ground up. Tents are erected on higher ground to avoid flash flooding, and storage areas are shaded with woven palm mats or salvaged sheet metal to keep supplies from baking in the sun. A kitchen area is established, usually nothing more than a circle of stones with a steel grate balanced on top, but it becomes the beating heart of camp life, where meals are shared and strategies discussed. Water management is paramount. If a stream runs near the site, it is tested for clarity and mineral content to ensure it won't stain or damage the diamonds during washing. In many cases, crews dig small diversion channels or construct makeshift sluices to create a steady, controlled flow for sieving operations. If no natural water source is close enough, barrels are hauled in by truck, a costly and exhausting task that demands careful rationing. Before any soil is touched, test pits are dug. These shallow trenches act as a preview of the land's potential. Samples from different depths are collected and washed in small batches to estimate the concentration of diamonds in the area. If the yield is high enough, the real work begins. If not, the entire operation may be dismantled and moved, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, to chase a better prospect. Every stage of these preparations demands patience and discipline. Out here, the environment punishes haste. A rush setup can lead to contaminated water, broken equipment, or worse, injury in a place where medical help is days away. But for those who plan with precision, the reward can be immense, a seamless start to the harvest, where every bucket of gravel has the potential to hold the kind of stones that change lives. The human engine of this diamond operation is a small, tightly bound crew, fewer than 20 individuals. Yet each one is indispensable. They are not anonymous laborers pulled from a nearby village for quick wages. They are a hand-picked team, seasoned by years of working in some of the most challenging terrains imaginable. Every member has a role, and every role is critical. The crew is a mosaic of backgrounds. Some are locals, born and raised within a few days' journey of the site, carrying intimate knowledge of the land's moods, when the rains will come, where the soil changes color, and which bends in the river are most likely to yield treasures. Others are itinerant miners who have traveled across borders, following whispers of rich deposits like migratory birds chasing seasonal feeding grounds. Their camaraderie is forged not just in shared labor, but in the collective memory of hardship, stories of flooded camps, failed digs, and the rare, exhilarating days when a single stone has paid for months of toil. The living quarters reflect this resourcefulness. Each tent is customized to its occupants' needs. Some lined with plastic sheeting for insulation, others reinforced with bamboo poles to withstand desert winds. Sleeping mats are rolled directly onto the ground, and personal belongings are kept in old ammunition boxes or tin trunks, both for protection against dust and for security. The crew eats together around the communal fire, often in near silence, saving their breath for the long hours ahead. Their tools are deceptively simple, yet honed to perfection. The sieve, their primary instrument, is nothing more than a circular metal frame strung with fine wire mesh, but each has been reinforced, patched, and adapted to the user's preference. Some miners prefer tighter mesh to catch even the smallest chips of diamond, while others use a slightly wider weave for faster sorting. Buckets, shovels, and wheelbarrows bear the scars of hundreds of loads, their handles wrapped in layers of tape or cloth for comfort. Alongside these traditional tools are a few vital pieces of modernity. A portable diesel generator powers a small pump used to divert water from the nearby stream into makeshift settling ponds. These ponds allow sediment to drop out before the water is reused, preventing the finer stones from washing away. A handful of miners carry magnifying loops on strings around their necks, tools of precision that allow them to quickly inspect a suspected diamond before adding it to the secure storage tin kept under lock and key. Security here is not an afterthought. It is an ever-present layer of the operation. A rotating night watch is maintained, with 2 workers staying awake to patrol the perimeter of camp. They carry old but functional rifles, both as deterrents against thieves and as protection from the wildlife that occasionally wanders close. Hyenas sniffing for food scraps, or even the occasional leopard moving silently through the brush. The diamonds themselves are never left unattended. Once found, they are logged, weighed on a small digital scale, and placed into a padded metal container, which is then stored in a locked trunk that only the foreman and one designated keeper can open. The social structure within the team is both democratic and hierarchical. Decisions about where to dig next are often discussed openly, but once the plan is set, the foreman's word is final. Respect is earned through competence, not age or background. A young miner who spots a promising gravel layer might gain instant authority over the day's work, while an experienced veteran who mishandles a sieve risks losing the crew's trust. This blend of tradition, experience, and practical innovation makes the crew remarkably efficient. In an environment where the margin between profit and loss is razor thin, their ability to function as a single coordinated unit is what allows them to extract such incredible value from the earth. Every calloused hand, every battered tool, and every sleepless night on watch is part of a finely balanced system, one that turns dust and gravel into glittering stones worth fortunes. The first stage of actual diamond harvesting begins in the dim blue light before sunrise, when the air is still cool and the land has not yet awakened to the day's heat. The crew rises quietly, each person moving with well-practiced efficiency. Boots are laced, buckets are stacked, sieves are checked for loose mesh, and shovels are inspected for cracks that could snap under a heavy load. Every tool is accounted for, because once they reach the dig site, turning back for forgotten gear wastes precious time and energy. The work starts with the identification of the pay layer, a specific band of earth where diamond-rich gravel lies hidden. This layer is usually just above the bedrock or compact clay, where heavier minerals have settled over centuries. The miners read the earth like a language. Subtle changes in soil color, the crunch of gravel underfoot, and even the way the shovel resists as it cuts into the ground. It's an art as much as a science, and the ability to recognize this layer is one of the most valued skills in the crew. Once the target layer is confirmed, excavation begins. There are no massive excavators here, no roaring dump trucks, only the steady rhythm of shovels biting into the earth and buckets being filled. Gravel is loosened with picks or crowbars, lifted into buckets, and then carried by hand or loaded into wheelbarrows for the journey to the washing area. The movement is constant, a chain of labor from dig to sieve, repeated hundreds of times throughout the day. Efficiency is everything. Buckets are filled to a calculated weight, heavy enough to maximize each trip, but light enough that the carrier can move without stumbling. In the soft morning light, a continuous procession of workers moves between the pit and the stream, boots crunching on dry gravel, shoulders straining under the weight of their cargo. Those at the dig site dig in pairs. One loosens the earth, the other collects and lifts it away, minimizing downtime. The pay gravel is kept separate from surface soil or loose sand to avoid diluting the diamond concentration. The crew knows that even a single careless mix could mean losing valuable stones to runoff or debris. Buckets are sometimes covered with cloth during transport to prevent tiny chips or dust-sized gems from bouncing out. This stage is physically punishing. The sun rises quickly, and by mid-morning the heat is intense enough to shimmer in the air. Sweat runs freely, staining shirts and leaving white salt traces as it dries. Dust clings to skin, fills nostrils, and turns the inside of mouths to grit. Yet the work does not slow, because every minute of daylight is another chance to uncover fortune. Throughout the morning, the foreman moves constantly between teams, checking the quality of gravel being collected, adjusting digging angles, and marking new test spots for the next phase. His sharp eye can spot a promising layer from a single glance, and when he calls for a shift, the crew obeys without hesitation. The entire rhythm of this stage is built on one simple principle: move as much high-quality gravel as possible without losing a single stone. By the time the sun is directly overhead, the site will have produced dozens of bucket loads, stacked neatly beside the stream, ready for the next, even more meticulous stage, washing and sieving, where the real magic of separation begins. By midday, the pile of pay gravel beside the stream has grown into a small mountain, dozens of buckets stacked in rough order of arrival. The heat is relentless now, the air heavy with the scent of wet earth and mineral-rich water. This is the moment the entire morning's labor has been building toward, the washing and sieving stage, where raw gravel is transformed into the promise of diamonds. The washing area is deceptively simple, a shallow bend in the stream where water flows slow enough for control, but fast enough to carry away lighter debris. Here, the crew has dug a series of small settling ponds, each lined with stones to prevent erosion. The water is directed through these ponds using makeshift channels, ensuring a steady supply for washing while preventing valuable gravel from being swept downstream. Each worker takes a sieve, metal frame, fine wire mesh, and loads it with a careful measure of gravel. Too much, and the stones will not clean properly. Too little, and time is wasted. The sieve is then lowered into the water, and the motion begins, a rhythmic, almost hypnotic shake that separates particles by weight and size. The heavier stones settle at the bottom, while the silt and sand wash away in a cloudy plume. It's here that skill becomes artistry. The miner must know exactly how long to shake, how hard to swirl, and when to stop. Too aggressive, and a small diamond could be lost among the lighter stones. Too gentle, and the impurities will cling, masking the gem's telltale sparkle. The water changes color with each batch, first murky brown, then lighter, until only clean gravel remains in the sieve. Once washed, the gravel is spread thin across the mesh, and the inspection begins. The trained eye doesn't look for the size of the stone first, it looks for the light. Diamonds reflect differently from quartz or mica. They hold the sun's glare in a way that almost feels alive, a flash of pure white against the muted colors of surrounding rock. Miners lean in close, sometimes wetting the stones again to coax out a hidden glimmer. When a diamond is spotted, there is no outburst, no pause for celebration. The worker simply plucks it from the sieve with thumb and forefinger, examines it briefly against the light, and slips it into a small leather pouch or tin kept securely on their belt. This discretion is deliberate. Diamonds are too valuable to draw attention to, even among trusted colleagues. The process repeats endlessly. Load, dip, shake, wash, inspect, pick. Each batch takes only a few minutes, but the concentration required is intense. Hours pass in this focused state, the crew working almost in silence, broken only by the gentle splash of sieves hitting the water and the occasional grunt of effort. As the sun dips toward the horizon, the pile of unwashed gravel shrinks, while the pouch of collected stones grows heavier. The day's finds will later be logged, weighed, and secured, but for now, the focus remains on the sieve, the water, and the gravel. Because every swirl, every shimmer could be the moment that turns hard labor into a life-changing fortune. When most people imagine diamond mining, they picture everything that isn't a diamond being tossed aside as worthless rubble. But here, far from industrial waste piles and mechanical crushers, even the leftovers hold value, sometimes enough to keep the operation sustainable between big finds. The washing process leaves behind mounds of gravel, sand, and silt that have already been searched for diamonds. These tailings are carefully moved to a designated dumping area away from the main work zone, both to keep the site organized and to avoid accidental reprocessing. Yet before they are fully discarded, a second inspection often takes place. Some crew members, usually the most meticulous, will sift through the tailings again in the late afternoon light, just in case a smaller diamond or chip slip through during the main wash. It's rare, but not unheard of, to find a tiny yet valuable stone this way. Beyond diamonds, this particular river deposit hides a mix of other minerals. Garnet, with its deep red glow, is sometimes collected by miners who know local traders willing to buy it for jewelry or abrasive industrial use. Small pieces of tourmaline, topaz, and even quartz crystals can find their way into side sales, fetching modest, but welcome sums in nearby markets. For the crew, these sales can help cover essentials like food, fuel, and spare tools without dipping into the more carefully guarded diamond earnings. The finer sands from the tailings also serve a purpose. In some artisanal camps, they are packed into sacks and sold to small-scale builders for mixing into mortar, especially in remote regions where transporting construction materials is costly. In other cases, these sands are used on-site to stabilize muddy paths during the rainy season, making it easier to transport buckets of gravel without slipping or sinking. Even the heavier stones, those too large for jewelry but free of diamonds, can be repurposed. Some are used to reinforce the edges of the washing ponds, preventing erosion. Others are arranged to line drainage channels, slowing the flow of water so that sediment settles and can be reclaimed for one last inspection. Nothing here is wasted casually, because everything in this environment takes effort to move, collect, and maintain. The same mentality that allows these miners to spot a diamond in a sea of stone drives them to see value in the overlooked. The byproducts may not sparkle in the sun, but in their own way, they sustain the operation, keeping the crew supplied and the work moving forward. By the time the last bucket of the day has been sieved and the final gravel spread out under the fading light, the real work of valuation begins. The day's finds are more than just shiny rocks. They are potential fortunes that must be verified, measured, and classified with the utmost precision. This stage is not about brute strength. It is about discipline, focus, and knowledge honed over years. The process starts in the camp's secure area, a tent or makeshift hut set slightly apart from the living quarters. Inside, a sturdy wooden table serves as the workstation. The air smells faintly of oil from the generator, which powers a single bright LED lamp hanging directly overhead. That lamp is no luxury. It's a necessity, casting a crisp white light that reveals the smallest inclusions or surface flaws in a stone. One by one, the day's diamonds are tipped from their leather pouches onto a clean, flat metal tray. The foreman or designated gem handler, usually one of the most trusted and experienced members, takes charge from here. The first step is a visual inspection with the naked eye, checking for obvious chips, cracks, or irregular shapes. Even at this stage, some stones are set aside for industrial use rather than gem cutting, their value determined by their hardness rather than beauty. Next comes the magnifying loupe, a small but powerful tool that reveals the internal world of the stone. Under 10x magnification, tiny fractures, mineral inclusions, or cloudy zones become visible. These imperfections can drastically affect a diamond's final value. Even if the untrained eye would never notice them. The gem handler rotates each stone carefully, watching how light refracts through it. A skilled movement that can, in seconds, separate a high-value gem from a lower tier one. Weight is measured on a digital carat scale, accurate to the hundredth of a carat. Each diamond's weight is recorded in a logbook alongside a brief description. Color grade, from the rare ICD gray down to the faint yellows, clarity observations, and an estimate of its cutting potential. The best stones, those with high clarity and strong carat weight, are marked for priority sale, while smaller or more included stones are categorized for bulk lot sales, often destined for industrial tools or less prestigious jewelry markets. Authenticity is also verified at this stage. While the risk of mistaking a quartz crystal for a diamond here is minimal, given the crew's skill, tests are still performed for certainty. Simple methods, like the fog test, diamonds disperse heat instantly and will not fog up, and scratch test, using the diamond's unmatched hardness, are complemented by more technical checks with portable diamond testers that detect thermal conductivity. Once graded and logged, the stones are cleaned in a mild acid solution or with specialized ultrasonic cleaners if available. This removes any last traces of dirt or oil, allowing them to be stored in pristine condition. Each stone is then placed in a padded compartment inside a secure metal box, which is locked with both a physical key and, in some cases, a tamper-proof seal. This step is more than just administration. It is the moment where weeks of grueling labor solidify into tangible wealth. The stones on that table are no longer anonymous pieces of carbon pulled from the earth. They are cataloged assets, each with a unique value and destiny. In a few weeks, some will sparkle in luxury boutiques thousands of miles away, while others will be mounted in industrial saws or drills. But here, under the glow of a single lamp in the middle of nowhere, they are still raw, untamed fragments of the land, awaiting their next transformation. With the diamonds graded, logged, and secured, the focus shifts to preparing them for their departure from this remote outpost, a process as critical as the mining itself. Here, every step is designed to protect not only the stone's physical safety, but also their documented provenance. In the diamond trade, a stone story can be worth as much as its sparkle. The operation begins inside the secure tent, under the same bright, controlled light used during grading. The stones are brought out one category at a time, priority gems first, then bulk lot stones, and finally industrial-grade diamonds. Each group is handled separately to prevent mix-ups, because even a single misfiled diamond could mean a massive loss in value or a dispute with buyers. The first task is final cleaning. While the earlier quality control stage removed most debris, this step is about presentation. Priority gems are bathed in an ultrasonic cleaner filled with a gentle solution that vibrates at high frequency, dislodging microscopic particles. After drying, they are inspected again for any fingerprints or smudges that could dull their brilliance under a jeweler's lamp. Even in this remote location, presentation matters. Buyers will pay more for stones that appear flawless from the moment they open the package. Next comes the packaging itself. Each diamond is placed in an individual transparent packet, usually a heat-sealed plastic sleeve with a paper insert that lists its weight, grade, and identification number. This is not only for organization, it's also an anti-theft measure. If a packet is tampered with, it's immediately visible, and the documentation can prove ownership in case of dispute. Once individually packed, the diamonds are arranged inside small, padded metal tins. These tins are lined with foam cutouts or velvet pouches, ensuring the stones do not knock against each other during transport, a collision that could chip a high-value gem and slash its price. The tins are then wrapped in tamper-evident seals, each marked with a unique serial number logged in the operations records. The entire packaged lot is then placed in a larger, reinforced container, often a heavy-duty lockbox with dual locks, requiring 2 separate keys held by different individuals. In some cases, especially in high-risk regions, this lockbox is further sealed inside a welded steel frame or placed in a disguised crate among other supplies to avoid drawing attention during transport. Security is paramount. A shipment schedule is planned in advance, often with misleading departure times shared publicly to confuse potential thieves. When the time comes, a small, trusted convoy, usually 2 to 3 vehicles, sets out toward the nearest secure facility or buyer location. Drivers alternate between maintaining steady speeds on open roads and taking unexpected turns to break any potential tailing attempts. In particularly high-value shipments, armed escorts or private security contractors may be involved. Meanwhile, documentation travels alongside the stones. Copies of permits, proof of origin, and grading certificates accompany the lockbox, while encrypted digital records are sent to buyers and middlemen ahead of time. This ensures that if the shipment is delayed, the paperwork remains valid and ready to complete the transaction upon arrival. By the time the lockbox leaves the miner's hands, the diamonds are no longer just raw finds. They are carefully cataloged, meticulously cleaned, and fully traceable commodities. For the crew, this stage marks a turning point. Weeks of labor in heat, dust, and water are now condensed into a handful of sealed packages that could, in the right market, change every life in camp.